Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Okay, my guest today is Libros Oshoma. Needs very little introduction, lawyer, social commentator, and indeed a presenter himself. You know, make I add that one put. A fine morning to you, Libros. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Yori.
Okay, well, what we want to talk about today, we want to center on your state, your home state, Edo State. Many people look at you as a Lagosian.
I am a Lagosian.
There you go.
I'm a Lagosian. My parents are from Edo.
So where does that now make you from?
Because my kids, when we went to the village, they looked at me in the eye and said, "Daddy, this is your village." So I now remember that I've lived in Lagos for more than 30-something years.
Yes.
And then I'm a Lagosian.
Yes.
Chief Richard Akinjide of blessed memory once told us then, he said, "You can't say you grew up here and you've been here for years." He was telling my friend. We took call to bar forms to him to sign, and he asked my friend, "Where are you from?" He said, "Cross River." And he said, "Okay." He said, "But I was born here, I grew up here, and I've known Lagos." He said, "Yeah, Lagosian. This is how you people confuse yourself. Yeah, Lagosian." So when my kids told me that, I said, "Okay, now me I know I'm a Lagosian, but my parents are from Edo." So,
now, wow.
and because really, Uncle Yori, the day you want to stand for election in Nigeria, that is when you know that you are a man without identity. Because if you remember the last election in Edo, the PDP candidate was told that he's not from Edo because they say they don't know you at home. And meanwhile, some said he grew up in Ibadan and then lives in Lagos. He can't contest election in these two places because at the end of the day, you know, he's a man without electoral identity. So he had to go back to his village, you know, point to his father's house. They said he came with interpreter. You know, so all of these issues, the day I want to contest election in Lagos now, they'll tell me, "No, you're not a Lagos." If I go back home, they'll say it's a Lagos boy.
But somebody is working on that in the National Assembly. I think I saw the news item that a representative, an honorable, I think it has even reached the second reading, where if you have lived in Lagos for a certain number of years, it's automatic citizenship.
It is, you see, even if you have lived here for, I think, 15 years or so, you can contest election here.
Okay.
But this state of origin declaration thing, we need to completely,
Are we still using that? I think no
form.
No form asks
there
for
are
your
still forms you still see state of origin, local government, you know. So it should be residence.
And you know, people, if you don't speak the language, or if the people think that you don't speak the language, then they will probably put a few blocks in your way.
Exactly. So it is not he's not one of us. So those issues will always be with us until maybe after this generation and maybe our children who are just being born now, who do not really know this identity thing. They don't speak the language. They speak only English. And then maybe that time. But for us, if you like, change it in the law. People will still remember. Imagine if Dangote wants to contest election in Lagos today. That is the day he will know it's not a Lagosian.
Anyhow, a sort of a good way to lead into it, but as well, you are an Edo man,
yes,
an Edo-lite.
Pure one.
Pure Edo-lite. And so we want to talk about your beloved state and the challenges are in there. Now, talking of which, you know, there's been something of a ding-dong between the past and the present administrations in Edo State regarding two main aspects, security on the one hand and education on the other. So much so that the governor has declared a state of emergency in the education sector. And when you see some of those pictures, oh God, you begin to say, what? How can this be? Is this made up? So the governor has declared, I think fittingly, an emergency in that area. So I don't know, which do you think we should look at first, security or education, both of which
the two are equally very important. But first and foremost, if you look at this, and that's why I feel bad sometimes when politicians play politics with everything. Insecurity in Edo State, right from the time I can remember, you know, in the time of Bende State, you remember the Lawrence and any Modio Subo days. You know, but a lot of people won't remember these days because a lot of them on social media today, if you ask them who is Lawrence Anini, they probably didn't know. But Benin was a hotbed then. In fact, not just Benin, the whole of Bende State, that the armed robbers will go to the bank in Igara, will go to the bank in Auchi, you know, Warri and Environ to rob. And then we'll leave that. If you remember also, sometimes in 2012, 2013, in fact, it was like a bomb blast in Auchi when armed robbers came to rob. If I robbed the police station, robbed about 3 banks, killed about 13 people or so, including 3 soldiers in that town. And for a long time, the police station was, they burnt down the police station. You know, so also, it was in that same state that Ozekome was kidnapped and 4 policemen were killed.
Michael.
Yeah, at that time, some of us stopped going home because that Benin-Auchi road became a hotbed for kidnappers. And so insecurity was heightened. That was Oshomole's time. So it didn't just start from Obaseki's time. Obaseki also in his time. I remember a policeman, a client of mine came from abroad and was traveling to Auchi and they needed police escort. And the police told them, we'll give you escort. The commissioner then said, we'll give you escort, but don't travel before 9 a.m. and don't travel once it is 4 on that road. It was very bad. And you know, because we have, you know, people who were kidnapped and we had to begin to look for money for ransom, including my friends' parents. At a point, even going to Benin by road was a big challenge. So we shouldn't play politics with insecurity. And then, because of lack of education and infrastructure, cultism and fraud, Yahoo, what we call Yahoo, became so heightened in Benin and Delta, Edo and Delta, that in fact some people feel that these 2 places are, you know, the headquarters of Yahoo in Nigeria. Go to visit. I'm not kidding. Go visit any hotel in Benin or Asaba. If you do not see young boys sagging and, you know, taking up rooms, you are not in Benin or Asaba. Don't worry. You know, they are the ones that fund this hotel, and we've come to accept it as a way of life. That now today you even have association of Yahoo mothers. You know, so. But that's not to take away the fact that you have a lot of young boys who are into this online skit making, and they are making so much money and they're doing us proud. You know, so that's where we are coming from. And with the last election, even the election before the last, you remember that Oshomole was attacked at the airport. Also, all of these are insecure. Even a party chairman, the PDP, former PDP party chairman in the last administration, 2024 here, was kidnapped after leaving government house. You know, so insecurity has always been there. But I can say that now, I went to Benin recently, I can say that for the metropolis, you know, to a very large extent, calm and normalcy is gradually returning. And then the court-related activities, you know, had, you know, died down. But you still have heavy challenges around the border because the state is bordered by Ondo, Kogi, and Delta. You know, so you still have border challenges. But I think that's where I don't want to blame whether it was it's PDP or APC. And that's why I think the call should be on the federal government to try and collaborate with every state government, because federal government controls security, which was where I blame the federal government on the insecurity in Niger Delta, using it to, in Rivers State, using it to declare state of emergency. The governor does not control the police or control the army. So the government, the federal government should find a way to collaborate. And also the governor should, those, what do you call it, the soldiers you see at the base on, along the road, they are not there for photo ops. I think also the government should take a leap to at least extend a hand of fellowship, visit them, boost their morale, and you know, give them a sense of belonging. By so doing that, even though they don't report to you, but the fact that the way you see the governor visits schools and promise them that he's going to renovate, and then we see work going on there, I think that also will go a long way boosting the morale of these soldiers who are, because there are some soldiers and policemen, you know, at checkpoint in some of these areas, especially those that are particularly permanently stationed, you know, especially around that donut. I know they also have this, they are vigilante, local vigilante, and then this thing that Ogun State is doing now. I had a cause to address Ashogbon in Ogun State. The police command in Ogun State collaborated with the hunters. So they have the Hunters Association in Ogun, and they are very helpful in Ogun, in fighting insecurity in Ogun State. I also think that's what also they are doing in Edo State. And it will, in the long run, it will yield positive result. But really, what they have now, the challenges are, the insecurity around the border. And I think with collaboration from the federal government, if they do not politicize it, then it will go a long way in saving.
But as you just said that what the governors in the states can really do, it's limited because they don't have, all these forces under them. That's the situation that the former governor in Edo State faced. Well, now Governor Monday Okpebholo is in charge. Is he not, Senator? Is he not going to be constrained by the same limitation? Say, look, I have ideas, but I'm not in control of the organs of security.
No, the former governor Obaseki, yes, he faced those constraints, and there may be. I also do not like the idea. I've never been a fan of Obaseki, and I will not pretend to be his fan today. But anywhere he has done well, I'm always very free to say he did well here. He built a command and control center, and I also think that this current administration can leverage on that command and control center, because it's digitalized. So all you just need to do is go look at it. It is state fund. It is the money of the state that they've used to build it. Go back there, look at what is on ground and how you can improve on what is already there. And then, to enhance insecurity, because insecurity also has moved beyond, just Dane gun and hunters. There's also the use of technology. He has done that one. But he also played a lot of politics within security and infrastructure, going to Sapele Road and say, oh, this is federal road, there's nothing I can do. Meanwhile, it is your citizens, your people that are applying that road. So what stops you from fixing the road? The Auchi-Benin road became, impassable, not motorable, and you say it's a federal road. And meanwhile, that will limit people who are traveling. Anybody who dares travel on that road can be attacked because of the slow pace of movement and the bad state of. So these are also ways you fight insecurity directly. Fortunately now, this current governor is doing it and is taking the shine. So that's why despite all of this constraint, I think that governors should, the moment you become a governor, you are no longer the governor of your party. I also would, advise this current governor to see the state like that. He's no longer the governor of APC and should leave out this praise singers from APC. He should now see himself as the governor of both PDP and APC. And anything that affects anybody in the state should affect him. Insecurity, he should tackle it headlong, irrespective of what anybody is saying. He should be deaf to criticism at this stage and, face it headlong. Collaborate, because luckily, unlike the previous administration, this administration is the same with the government at the center. They always sing renewed hope agenda. So let them renew the hope with the federal government, and then federal government can create that collaboration and synergy. They are doing so well in terms of managing their local vigilante, but there's a limit to the extent that those local vigilante can go, because for the local vigilante, they have Dane gun, they have motorcycle, and some of these hoodlums come from neighboring states. They can come from Kogi, for example. These Boko Haram members or militant or bandits that are running from the north, get into Kogi. They can move into, just recently in Okpebholo, some boys came from Okene to rob in Okpebholo, and then if they were not caught, they will rob from Okpebholo and go back to Okene. So it will be difficult to track them. So that's where it becomes the limitation of the local vigilante, will end. So, but if you have a cross-border patrol team from the federal government, controlled by the federal government, in collaboration with the state government, APC is in Kogi, APC is in Edo, APC is in Ondo. So it won't be a problem for these three states. And so they can collaborate and synergize and, protect with the federal government's input. They can protect the borders. And then another major challenge that we don't look at and we gloss over is the dredging of the river Niger and the river Benue.
Okay.
You see, the river Niger and the river Benue, during Goodluck Jonathan's time, funds were budgeted for dredging those rivers. And I think till date, we investigated our fund, but we didn't investigate our fund. They were siphoned, used for election. And so any little overflow, the rivers will overflow their banks and overflow their banks into the farms. And so when the farms are not productive, some of these people who ordinarily will be in the farm will take to crime. So if you dredge these rivers, Kogi will no longer overflow, Edo will no longer overflow, Anambra will no longer overflow. So you'll be able to keep people in the farms. I also see that the governor of Edo State recently acquired a large hectares of farm, to go back to farming, let the state government show example, like they had during the Bende State Task Force on communal farming, which is good. But if the River Niger is still overflowing its bank,
that's still a problem.
It's going to be a big problem. So the little that the state can do, they should do. But the major challenge is from the federal government. And once that is done, a lot of people ordinarily who had the capacity for crime, who would not want to go into it, but because of these challenges of not having farms, will go to these places. And then when you also take out these people from crime, you have more hands to farm, and then you have more mouths, more people feeding, the already existing population. And with that, Edo can feed even, some part of Lagos, just the same way Lagos is having to go collaborate with Kebbi now.
Yeah,
for rice. Edo Ekboma, my village, Anegbete, can produce rice that will feed Lagos. But we need to get, security right. And then I also like the fact that, like you talked about education, declaration of a state of emergency.
In fact, I was going to ask, it's difficult to know which one is even the more serious challenge. Is it security or education? In fact, I think both of them.
Both of them, I think, go pari passu. But insecurity should come first, because if there is insecurity, you won't be able to go to school. But when you are able to protect the environment, then all of the schools that the governor is renovating, people will be able to access those schools. And then some of us went to free education, and Bruce Ali provided free education through UPN, Chief Obafemi Awolowo's free education program. And that's why some of us were able to go to primary, secondary, and the university. But unfortunately today, I see some of the schools, and look at some of these secondary schools. You look at the secondary school, this dilapidated. In my secondary school, my former secondary school, as old boys, I know the much that we have done. It's a village close to my village, Ogomeri. If you see the dilapidated structure of those schools, and you ask yourself, the world becoming a global village, and these are children who are going to compete. If our schools were like this, it would have been practically impossible for us to be in Lagos
where
today,
you are today.
And so that's why I like the fact that...
In fact, I think these are pictures of Governor Okpebholo, making the rounds.
Yeah, and really, you see, seriously, you see, some of us, one thing I would advise the governor, if I am to advise him today, is he's not an elitist person. He should not pretend. He should not try to be an elitist person. The elites don't like him. He's not one of them. And they are not happy that he's the governor. Let's call a spade a spade. And so the only way he can warm himself to the heart of people in Edo is the everyday person, is to deliver on good governance. As you have declared a state of emergency on this educational infrastructure, ensure that it doesn't just end with lip service. Because some people will say, all of these are...
We've heard it before.
Usually the IGG. It shouldn't end with lip service. There should be deliverables, and there should be, timeline for measuring these deliverables. And then from there, you proceed to primary head. So once you do all of these things, even if you... And then once in a while, what stops you from addressing the people via radio program or pigeon program? After all, Fayosho defeated an incumbent in Ekiti by relating with the ordinary man. And so, with that, at the end of the day, even during an election, even if you are sleeping, the people will come and wake you and say you have won, because you have been able to relate with them through, public infrastructure. That's what governance is about. Not grammar, not... because for me, sometimes you see those of us that speak English, we speak big English. At the end of the day, so many of my colleagues who speak big English, where they don't give us the work now. But the time they give us appointments, we will constantly say we're no different from the ordinary people when we say, you know. So for me, really, I want to see Edo where I'll be able to drive from Benin. I can leave Benin 9 p.m. and say I go out. The way it used to be when I was in school in Ekpoma. By the way, I schooled in Ekpoma.
That's a dangerous move. You know?
No, there were times when you're undergraduate, we will leave Ramat Park by 9 and be going back to school. It was 25 minutes, 30 minutes, we were in Ekpoma. But today, before now, I drove through that road recently, and I was happy that there's serious renovation work going on. Unlike before, you couldn't even pass the road again.
Let Reverend Dominic join us. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Chibiore. Good morning, my friend Libros.
Okay.
Good morning, Don Reverend.
Yeah. Libros, let me say this. I'm not more excited when politicians flash on television what they're doing. Libros, do you remember what you call your state a do best?
Yes, okay.
Who is intellectual?
I've not even gone there.
That project was tailored towards education. For we to see this kind of thing in after a do best, politicians can be like magicians. Now, that's by the way. Libros, the issue of security in Nigeria is no more about a state. 2 days ago or a day ago, I saw a protest in Ondo. We have people who are protesting in Ondo because of insecurity in Ondo State. Libros, you can't go to my state. I'm from Imo State. For you to go to my state as a Dominic, I have to sneak in and sneak out.
I know.
That's Imo State. I know. But when you see Imo in television in Lagos, you thought Imo is heaven. But Imo today is where you cannot go and sleep with your 2 eyes closed. What I'm trying to say, we must do what I call national emergency of security. The security in Nigeria is no more about east, west, north, and south. The security in Nigeria has become a national challenge. We must quickly as possible, declare a state of emergency in security in Nigeria. I can't see again. They never have taken my light. I'm still with you.
Yes, we can hear you.
So what I'm trying to say is that the insecurity in this nation is now about states or east, west, and south. They have become a national color. We must declare state of emergency in security in the whole nation. Like you mentioned about River State. Honestly, if we have been to River State a few months ago before the state of emergency, Port Harcourt is more quiet than the Imo State where I come from. Where insecurity comes that makes us to declare state of emergency, it's another thing altogether. Like you said, we're playing politics with many things in Nigeria. But I beg, we should not play politics with insecurity of Nigerians. You can't go to my state. You can't go to Anambra. Ondo is there everywhere, even around the periphery of Lagos. So insecurity has become a challenge in Nigeria. And if Mr. President is working so hard to bring investors, no man can invest in a nation, in a state where there's no security. So we must declare state of emergency of security in the whole nation, in the whole Nigeria as a nation, so we can know how to manage it, not do it piecemeal. That's my contribution this morning. Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. In fact, Reverend Dominic has spoken well. And, you know, talking about, look, it's never mind Edo State or any other individual state for that matter. Yeah. It's a national, it's a pan-Nigeria thing.
Let's even drive this home.
Okay.
What's the number of the policemen that we have? Of this number, let's say 300 and something thousand. Of that 300 and something thousand, let's take the numbers that are in a National Assembly guiding politically exposed people, the politicians. By the time you leave that, you take the numbers that are guiding judges. You now take the numbers that are guiding, protecting the House of Assembly members. And then I'll talk of the barracks that protect a governor. By the time you do plus and minus, the one that is remaining to protect the 200 million Nigeria is not up to 100,000. And that's one deficiency. And so we're talking about funds, budget for security. You can't provide, you can't secure the country when the federal government still acts as a behemoth, trying to police everywhere. The governors, there should be more responsibility for these governors. And we say, oh no, they will use it to chase opposition. But yet, you have local vigilantes. Why are they not using it to chase opposition? So he's talked about, I used to visit Owerri, sorry, I know there's a caller on the line.
Yes.
Okay, let's take.
Okay. Elder David in Alimosho, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Yori.
Thank you for calling in. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I greet you, Elder David. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir, Yori. May God bless you. May God bless Nigerians. What draw my attention is this issue of state of emergencies. Yeah, the state of emergency, is it started? If I may ask you, when Obasanjo declared plateau and in Ekiti State...
No, Elder. No, Elder, not state of emergency. We're talking about Edo State. And if you want to bring in state of emergency, it's like the Governor Monday Okpebholo, has declared a state of emergency in the education sector.
I'm trying to make my own contribution because they are condemning state of emergency.
We're talking in Edo, in the context of Edo State, sir.
Let me continue what I'm saying, sir.
All right. Please go on. Monday, I said Monday. Elder David, so sorry about the fact that there was so much interference in that call. I don't know if it was at your end, there was a noise. But I just wanted to pinpoint that we are talking about Edo State, you know, Governor Monday Okpebholo's administration, the challenges before it, especially, you know, looking at the differences between the Obaseki's administration and his administration. Some things have been inherited, some challenges have been inherited, and we have sort of, between liberals and I, narrowed it down to two main things: education and security. And it is in security, education, that the governor has declared a state of emergency when you look at the state of the schools. And right now, he's on a tour of, those are the pictures you were seeing earlier. So that's the only context in which we're talking about a state of emergency. It's a manner of speaking, not to be confused with the state of emergency declared in Rivers State.
Yeah. So I used to visit Owerri a lot. I always tell people, they say, what do you go to do? I loved the town before now, but now, fear no let me go with it again. Because of insecurity. Right from that time, Gulak was killed along the airport road. You know, and when I calculate the distance, I'm like, I love that town. From there, I'll go to Aba, do whatever I need to do. In fact, what I'm wearing now is made in Aba.
There you go.
But unfortunately, I can no longer visit these places because of insecurity challenges. So I agree with Reverend Dominic, it's a national issue. And so we can't solve it with this one-size-fits-all approach that the federal government is adopting. And that's why I am talking about what some states are doing and what can be done. I talked about collaboration with Hunter in Ogu. I have gone there, you know, for a conference. I've addressed some of them. I'm also talking about the same thing that Edo government is doing and what they had done, and also pointing to the fact that the previous administration had built a command and control center, and that there's need to key into that command and control. It belongs to the state, you know. So, and I like the fact that now we're adding education. Reverend Dominic talked about Edo Best. If I go there, people will say, this man, you never really liked Obaseki. But yes, I don't have any grounds with him, but it's about when you expected so much.
Yes.
He came with so much high hopes, plenty grammar, and I had hopes. But at the end of the day, they were all dashed, and then you start to show me Mirage. You know, Edo Best. There were programs, you know, it was like this program in Oshu State there. You're giving tablets to children who have no classrooms. You know, we talk about Edo Best, and when I see some of these schools right in the heart of Benin, in the heart of, you know, the state, you still have schools like this, despite the huge fund that was budgeted for infrastructure. And so that is why I'm calling on this current governor to let it not end with all of this, because internet, you know, they lie.
With the slogan.
Tomorrow, we are going to bring up these videos and say, remember when this governor was touring the whole school and declared a state of emergency? What is the state of the schools now? I know they can't solve all the problems, but so far.
Okay, sorry, I'm being told that Mr. Henry in Ikorodu wants to join the conversation. Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead, quickly, please.
Okay, my name is Henry from Ikorodu.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I want to contribute on the issue of state of emergency on education in Edo State.
Oh, okay.
I am from Edo State.
I know you are.
So I know that it is paramount for we that are from Edo State to have good education. I enjoyed free education, just like Libero said, under UPN in Edo State. And our facilities were okay. Mm-hmm. But soon after then, things actually dilapidated. So I want to thank the governor for taking time to go around the schools to see the structures. Truly, without good structures, no matter what you are teaching, except the student is a genius, we gain little or nothing.
Yes. Some of the students even said so in those video clips.
Primary, secondary school, let him look at the issue of Bruce Ali University. Particularly their medical school. Oh. They don't have facilities.
Is that right? Oh, okay.
They don't have facilities. That is the basic fact.
Okay, indeed. Thank you very much for staying with us, or indeed welcome if you've just arrived. My guest is when you're confused sometimes, you can even lose your friends. Libra Shoma is a legal practitioner, he's a commentator on public affairs, he's a presenter in his own right. We need to say this, but he's also a proud Edolite. Citizen of Edo, and we're looking at some of the challenges there, especially between the last administration and now. Is there much? Because Liberals, to the best of my knowledge, he's not a partisan person, but he has noticed what happened in the administration of Governor Baseki, former Governor Baseki, and now we have Governor Monday Okpebholo, who has his work cut out for him.
Yeah, certainly.
By the tour that I saw the governor conducting, especially in education. And it's in that connection that I think Henry was the last guy. He even went a different route. Look, talking about education, but go to the Ambrose Ali University
Medical College, and that there are no infrastructure. Yeah, because I learned that the governor recently increased their subvention. Before now, the school was almost in a comatose under the previous administration, but they have increased their subvention, which is good, which is a welcome development. But subvention will need to be backed up with infrastructure. Yeah, I agree that you can say the governor is just coming in, you know, just a little beyond the 100 days. But then, you know, like you said, his work is cut out for him. Declaring a state of emergency on education, fantastic. But the state of emergency should not just be about the infrastructure. There are no teachers.
That's another aspect to the whole
thing.
In
my village, in fact, some of the old students had to employ certain persons to, you know, be teaching, apart from the coppers that are posted there. You know, so that, and you have so many of the schools like that, public schools, there are no teachers. So, especially those ones in the villages. So, apart from putting the infrastructures, there's need to also, you know, find a way to employ more teachers, encouraging those that are truly qualified and encouraging. With that, you'll be able to take a lot of boys away off the street also. Yeah. And that is another way of solving insecurity problems.
It is.
And then on the aspect of medical school, for as long as I can remember, that Edo College, Edo State University Medical School had always been a ding-dong issue. And I hope that by now we should be able to, this administration will be able to look into it and find, you know, a lasting solution with infrastructure. And another good thing.
Please hold the thought. Let me bring in Patricia, who has called in from Port Harcourt. Good morning, ma'am.
Hello, good morning.
Go ahead, please.
Good morning, and good morning to your guest.
Indeed. Thank you very much for calling in.
This Edo State governor of scrutiny that is going. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You said this Edo State governor, but I didn't hear the rest.
Edo State something. The man is trying. I appreciate him. I'm not saying one should not be educated, and I believe that man is wise. Obaseki, with all his PhD or whatever degree, still he does not have respect for school. Imagine the school. See what this man is doing. It's just I appreciate him. God will bless him. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye. Patricia in Port Harcourt there, all the way over in Port Harcourt, appreciating what's going on in Edo with Governor
And that's why for me I
Okpebholo.
said, you see, that's why for me I said, look, these days, the politics, some of us will sit down in Lagos and think that, you know, all of these market women and the people we call Okpebholo will go play politics, win election and appoint us to come and serve. It will never happen. If you have to roll up your sleeves if you want to play politics in Nigeria. And so, the only way, for what I think, it's no longer about, you know, speak grammar. And if you speak the whole grammar and you are not able to connect with the everyday person, you are a failure. But the people don't want to hear you talk. They want to see you walk these days. After the campaigns, after the election, now it is time for governance. And what you can do is ensure that you consistently, you know, relate to the people. How was Oshomole able to win second term despite contesting with a son of the soil in Benin, retired General Charles Ayawe? Because people felt Oshomole had worked. He connected with the everyday person. They felt like Igbenedion didn't do nothing. And so Oshomole came and he could relate with them. They nicknamed him Oshokwek, Osho Baba, and all sorts. And so he could relate with them through his works. And so I also think that this governor, you just be deaf to what people are saying, all these politics. See yourself as the governor of both PDP, APC, Labour, and everybody, and ensure that not just on the public education, the entire state declare public state of emergency and let there be deliverables.
Indeed.
And those deliverables that people can relate with. Once in a while, like me, like you said, I'm also a presenter. In that program, I try to connect with the people using Pidgin English.
There you go.
And so once in a while, reach out to your people through phone-in program, relate with them, Pidgin English, and
things that the governor
could
do.
And then people can call in and say, oh, this is our area. We don't get road, though, or the road where they do, or the school where they build. Teachers no deal.
Get direct feedback.
Get direct feedback.
Okay. Garuba, all the way over in Makurdi. Good morning to you, sir. Garuba in Makurdi.
Good morning to you, Mr. Lebron there.
Yes.
I agree in line with his thoughts and in line with Reverend Dominic. Let me allude to what they have said on. Let me be sincere with you. Education is the bedrock of the society. And these two things are going together, security and education. Imagine you build infrastructure where students will go and learn, and there's no security there. It's another serious issue. The security of the teachers, the pupils, and the environment as well. So let us think about it and do it. And it's a welcome development. I'm urging other governors to copy what he did. This dilapidated building, how you expect a child will go and learn? Let me tell you, Okuyori, children get attracted by what they see. If these schools are renovated, I'm telling you, Okuyori, those children, they are the ones that wake up their parents. Daddy, take me to school tomorrow. I will give you this example. Get a child that don't have school bag and new pair of shoes to go to school. Buy it and give it to him. I'm telling you, that child will keep it close to him and sleep with it. He will be the one that will wake up the parents. Daddy, take me to school. That's how it is. It's all part of the country. I'm from Katsina State, Funtua precisely. Let me say something. I'm living in Benue State. Benue State is my second home. I want to urge on the state government, honestly, and the federal government. There's insecurity in Benue State. They don't want to set it out. If something happened in Benue State here, I will not be happy. People are killed every day by whatever they call them. I don't know the nomenclature they are calling them. They are terrorists. They are killing people every day. But the media don't want to come out and say because of the governor. Why? Humanity, human beings are killed.
I hear you.
I'm telling you this, Okuyori. I came back from Katsina. People are saying security has improved. But I bet you from Biningwari, you cannot drive to Katsina, to Puntua, close to Katsina. I'm telling you, Okuyori.
Wow.
Do that.
Well,
last week, a medical student from every area, he's traveling to that Puntua. They kidnapped him. He's still there. You know, obviously, they kidnapped Ika.
Thank you very much for calling in, Garuba. Distressing news, but he's saying it like it is.
Yes, that's why you see almost everywhere you look at in Nigeria today is insecurity. At this same place he's talking about, I traveled from Kano to Kazare, from Kazare to Daura, from Daura to Katsina. And now he's saying that these areas are you can no longer travel there safely. These are places we used to travel to before. And that's why, for me, if we were talking about Nigeria in general, I would, because I have also, to a very large extent, I take my time to go around to see what's happening. And so I think that most governors should tackle the federal government, because this government, when they were in opposition, talked about restructuring, fiscal federalism, and the fact that insecurity is local and that the solution to it should be provided locally. So, yes, we agree there's more money now to the state governors, but the issue of insecurity, I do not think that the government should, still hold the hands of the governor, tie the hands of the governor from providing security, because the police, like I said, more than 2/3 of the police are guarding big men, politicians, and so the rest who are not exposed to politicians are not making money. They are looking for a way to make money from the everyday person. If you write a petition to the police now, you will pay for approval of petition, you will mobilize, you will rent vehicle for them to go and make arrests. At the end of the day, so all of these challenges, I also pity them because the environment they work in is not encouraging. Have you visited a police station? We donate working tools for them. You go to a police station, the policeman buys statement forms that he will give to have somebody to write. How do you expect him to use his salary to buy statement form and then give you for free? So these are the issues. So that's why when government collaborates and they can only afford to buy vehicles, like Edo State government had done, previous government has also done, they are buying vehicles once they buy vehicles, that's all. These vehicles, how do you give a brand new Hilux vehicle to somebody who has never driven Okada before? You would destroy it.
But you see the results. You see them. You see those police vehicles.
Yes,
all around.
And that's why 2 years you see them. And that's also, I also am aware that they have donated motorcycle to hunters to comb the bushes, around the borders. But the challenge is, even if you empower all the hunters in your community, without collaboration from the neighboring governors, without collaboration from the federal government, your efforts, you can only, to a very large, if you are too focused, you will only get 50% results. You will see consistently how to deal with, challenges from your neighboring state.
Okay.
So that's why it is good that we're looking at insecurity, education, but the federal government, there should be, now that you have the states that are governed by the same party from the federal government, there should be a talk at the national level where this government should not just leave the challenges, where the National Assembly should not be discussing sexual harassment and discussing who slapped who and who insulted who. We should be discussing.
Don't let us bring in another subject matter.
No, I'm saying they are distractions.
I understand.
They are distractions.
And also Christopher has called in Benin. Good morning, Christopher.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in, sir. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I want to commend your guest on the program. He has said it the way it is. I'm calling from Benin. Okay. When you go around the city of Benin, you find out that the majority of our schools lack basic amenities. But I want to commend the new governor for the steps he has taken so far in a few months in office by declaring a state of emergency in our schools in Benin and other local government in Edo State. Okay. When you go around Edo State, you can hardly find teachers in our schools. You can hardly find good infrastructures in our schools. Leaking roof, you see children sitting on the bare floor.
Okay. Thank you very much, Christopher. I could see, liberals nodding in agreement.
While we are sitting here, I'm getting pictures and videos from people in Edo State sending me videos of dilapidated schools. More.
Even though we have some, but even more that we didn't get.
And some that the governor had inspected and promised I was going to renovate. I just checked one, and the one that had already been renovated. And that's why I'm saying that this is the only way you can you know, connect with the ordinary people.
Governor Okpebholo seems to be a man of action, getting at the a video. I don't know when it was taken, maybe 2-3 days ago. I don't know, but he was saying that tomorrow, you know, people are going to start work here.
And so that's what we want to see. That's what we want to hear.
See the action.
That's what we want. People want to see.
That's what people results.
It is not these days. Nigeria of today is no longer a place to sit down in the office and begin to sign papers. People want to see their governor, you know, relate and move around and look at it, feel what they are feeling, you know. And then when promises are made, they should be fulfilled, and no longer of campaign promises that cannot be met. Because there's this belief that campaign promises are usually thrown in the air and they shouldn't be fulfilled. and so if we take these 3 areas and we look at it specifically from Nigeria, from Edo, and then you take it beyond Edo.
Okay, that's a picture of a farm inspection. So tying in agriculture again.
Yeah, exactly. So because you can't, this is a massive land. Imagine, you know, farming cassava and rice, you know, in this place, some part for cassava, even yam. You know, this land is fertile for these crops. But the thing is, you will have to deal with the insecurity first to be able to deal with, you know, food security. Because without security, people won't be able to access the farm. And then also, the other issue that I raised was the issue of the overflowing of the River Niger. My community is bordered around that River Niger because we share border between, you know, Edo and Benue. And so you have Benue on the other side. And then down towards the end, you have Anambra. So that river, anytime it overflows its bank, that's why you hear Okpebholo is overflowed with water. So if the federal government also does that, then we won't have to, Nigeria does not have any business with poverty in as far as food is concerned. We have no business with this incessant hike in prices over, you know, stable food. Because we have arable land. Drive from here, if you drive from here to Ijebode alone, and you see the massive land. And then not to talk of going to Edo State. And I'm talking about the north right now, because all those areas I mentioned for you, if you drive through those areas, sometimes you don't even see houses driving from Funtua to Daura, or driving from Kano to what do you call it now? Driving from Kano to Kazari. You know, these are places, fertile land. So we don't have business with hunger. But because our governors, we have elitist governors who sits in the office, they are concerned with green barrels and signing checks.
But as you said, Monday Okpebholo is not an elitist and should not even try to
exactly.
be.
That's where I want.
Let me quickly bring in our last caller, Ebenezer in Abuja. Good morning to you, sir. Ebenezer in Abuja, can you hear us? Good morning to you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ebenezer? I think there's a problem with Ebenezer's call, the connectivity.
You know, so, because the problem, the challenge is enormous out there. Sitting down in the office and trying to be elitist will not solve it. So he's not one, he shouldn't try to be. He should not even pretend to be. And no matter how much you try to be elitist, they will not accept you because you are not one of them. You know, because, so let me tell you, sir.
Okay, briefly, because we've got to go.
You see, there's this perception that some persons believe, you know, governance is meant for them. And so governance is meant for them, is their right. And so they will use the everyday person to get there and then begin to dictate. Now, it shouldn't try to be like that. I went to Warri, and I saw what the governor in Warri, in Delta, is doing in Warri. I don't want to be involved in all this politics of whether it's a Uwe or whether it's a Fru. And so I also want to see that kind of massive and ambitious project, you know, in Edo, after all of this declaration of a state of emergency in education, state of emergency in insecurity, and, you know, state of emergency in infrastructure. Once all of this is done, I can tell you that the everyday person wouldn't have problem, you know, boasting that, yes, certainly they can connect with government. But it shouldn't just end in inspections. It just should be, it shouldn't end with just the blocks. There should also be human resources.
Okay.
Because the human resources is key. You can have buildings and the student wants to go, but without good teachers, then the work done would be. So I will urge him, to match these buildings with employment of teachers.
Okay, so in the sloganeering words of his party, what is that? Renewed hope is possible in Edo.
It's possible in Edo it's possible in Edo if truly he's matching his words with action. And so far, so good. I can say yes. And then the only areas, like I said, don't leave out the goods from the previous government. Okay. Embrace it, and it is for the people. It's the betterment of the people.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you very much, Libros, as always. Libros Oshoma is a lawyer. He's a commentator on public affairs, and he's also a proud Edolite. Thank you very much for coming on the program. So that's our program today. Then do please join us on Monday for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.